All right, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy Akeen, and welcome to today's second blog. Here to give you my second update of my mock draft for the 2014 NFL Draft. I'm going to give you my update of who I think the teams will select for that particular mock draft. And I think because of the news that I gave you yesterday regarding quarterback Derek Carr and some of the teams within the top 10 of this year's draft is thinking about even selecting David Carr, rating him as the number 2 quarterback, I think I definitely had to change up some of my picks for this year's draft. Starting at pick number 1, I first had the Houston Texans saying that they will select Khalil Mack coming out of Buffalo, but I just recently decided to change my mind and go with Blake Bortles out of UCF because of his size, and he has so much potential. And Bill O'Brien personally played against Blake Bortles, and I think he will select him at number 1. At number 2, I'm going to stick with Greg Robinson for the St. Louis Rams. Jacksonville picks number 3. They definitely are not going to pass up on Jadeveon Clowney if he is selected. At pick number 4, first I had Blake Bortles, but now I have him at number 1 to Houston Texans. Now the Cleveland Browns, I think they're going to actually select Sammy Watkins coming out of Clemson to work opposite and pair up with Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon actually led the league last season in receiving yards, and I think these two players can become an excellent tandem at the receiver position, working both ways. And I think because Sammy Watkins is such an explosive player, he would definitely help that offense out a lot. So I think they're going to go with a quarterback in their second round selection for the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns is going to go with the quarterback. Hopefully they will look at Zach Mettenberger out of LSU. They probably have their eyes on him, but they will pray to God that Derek Carr can be still available, Johnny Manziel, or Teddy Bridgewater. Anything can happen within this draft, and a couple quarterbacks, decent quarterbacks, could be still be available in the early second round. Another quarterback they can be looking at is Jimmy Garoppolo out of Eastern Illinois. He's been climbing up a couple of charts at the quarterback position. At number 5, I first went with Sammy Watkins, but now I have him going at number 4. So now Khalil Mack from Buffalo. I think that the Oakland Raiders will end up picking Khalil Mack. Still looking at Derek Carr. They have him as the number 2 quarterback entering this year's draft. Now I won't be surprised if they go with Derek Carr because they do some crazy picks for in recent draft years. But I think they need to go with Khalil Mack because he is such a dominant player, and he would definitely help out that defensive line who lost a couple of key players on the defensive side. At number 6, going to stick with Jake Matthews coming out of Texas A&M for the Atlanta Falcons. Pick number 7, I'm going to stick with Mike Evans from Texas A&M for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pick number 8, I decided to change my pick for Minnesota. I had them going with Teddy Bridgewater, but then I decided to change my mind and went with Derek Carr out of Fresno State. Because of what I've been reading these news, the Minnesota Vikings is another team who has Derek Carr as the number 2 quarterback of this year's draft. At pick number 9, Buffalo, I first had Taylor Lewan. I thought that Buffalo could definitely use an offensive tackle. I think they should pick Taylor Lewan. That is in that part of the mock draft. But my second mock draft for who I think they will select, I think they're going to go with a skill player and Eric Ebron out of North Carolina, even though Scott Chandler did have over 700 yards receiving last season, leading the team actually. At pick number 10, Detroit, I'm going to stick with Darqueze Dennard. They're looking at the cornerback position, even the safety position, but I think that Detroit is going to end up picking Dennard out of Michigan State. Pick number 11, I actually had Tennessee saying that they will pick up Teddy Bridgewater, but now I decided to change my mind and go with Johnny Manziel out of Texas A&M. I think that could be a steal at number 11. Pick number 12, I had Eric Ebron going for the New York Giants, but now Taylor Lewan should be that selector at this pick because they desperately need a good offensive tackle to help the offensive line overall. Pick number 13, going to stick for the St. Louis Rams, Hakeem Clinton-Dix out of Alabama on both of my drafts. Pick number 14, I think they're going to go with Tim Jernigan for the Chicago Bears. They pick at number 14, so I'm going to stick with Tim Jernigan out of Florida State. So that is my updated mock draft for who I think the teams will select. And I'm going to continue on with my mock draft starting tomorrow, going back to my mock drafts for both of my mock drafts for pick number 15 belonging to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching today's blog from Pro Football Exclusive. I'm your man, Akeen McCall. Be easy.